Hello everyone. Welcome back. Today, we've got some crucial news you don't want to miss. Let's dive right into the top financial headlines and break down what's happening.
As Election Day approaches, each major economic data release is drawing more attention and scrutiny than ever. Today, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics released its September job openings data, which is easy for everyone to understand. More job openings typically mean more hiring opportunities and job growth. The report from the Job Openings and Labor Turnover Survey showed a drop in available positions, from 7.86 million in August down to 7.44 million in September. Economists had been expecting a median of 8 million openings, so this number suggests a cooling labor market. However, job openings aren't the only way to measure labor market health. In fact, job openings have been declining across nearly every sector for the past 2 years. Meanwhile, layoffs in the U.S. recently hit their highest level since January 2023. This raises a unique question: if companies are laying off workers, why aren't job openings increasing? We'll need additional data to fully understand this trend. The report also revealed that fewer workers are voluntarily quitting their jobs. This implies a potential lack of confidence in finding new employment, or simply that people don't see promising new job opportunities. Workers seem to be choosing job stability over the risk of a new role. On the flip side, another report today showed that consumer confidence in October climbed to its highest level this year. If consumers are willing to spend more, that could support job creation, especially in consumer goods and services. As long as spending remains robust, job openings should stay relatively stable. Without the upcoming election, today's labor data wouldn't typically draw so much attention on Wall Street, as it's considered a secondary indicator of labor market health. However, because the state of the U.S. economy is such a critical factor for voters, every piece of economic data is under the microscope right now. The key report everyone's waiting for is Friday's October non-farm payrolls data, which will offer a comprehensive look at employment in the U.S. labor market. Along with the overall job numbers, it will provide details like labor force participation and wage growth, painting a broader picture of the economy. Currently, Wall Street expects Friday's data to show a slowdown from September's strong growth, with unemployment expected to hold steady at 4.1%. If that rate remains stable, it would still indicate a healthy labor market and substantial employment stability heading into the final stretch before the election. The second major news story to share today comes from Bloomberg with the headline, Japan's LDP, DPP to hold high-level policy talk Thursday. As we discussed yesterday, following the recent parliamentary elections, Japan's ruling Liberal Democratic Party, LDP, suffered a major loss. Even with its long-standing political ally, the Komeito Party, the LDP still doesn't hold a majority in parliament. This means they'll need to partner with a smaller party to form a coalition government, and that small party becomes a crucial kingmaker. According to Japanese media, the LDP is likely to choose the Democratic Party for the People, DPP, as its coalition partner. The DPP aligns relatively well with the LDP's policies, especially compared to left-leaning parties like the Japanese Communist Party. By joining with the DPP, the LDP could secure the seats needed to keep Shigeru Ishiba in the prime minister position for now. As we know, politics often involves negotiations. Some believe politicians act for the public or supporters, but that's largely the image they present. In reality, each political party has its own interests. With the LDP now in need of allies, the DPP is putting forward conditions for its support. The DPP is seeking an increase in the tax-free income threshold for part-time workers, from 1.03 million yen to 1.78 million yen. This change would encourage part-timers to work more hours without facing a sudden tax increase, allowing them to earn more before reaching a tax limit. The DPP's request reflects the interests of its voter base, as raising the tax-free income threshold could attract further support for the party in future elections. Currently, the LDP and Komeito together are 18 seats short of a majority, and the DPP has 28 seats, enough to satisfy the coalition needs for the LDP to govern effectively. Given this, there's speculation in Japanese media that Shigeru Ishiba will likely agree to the DPP's demand. Today, Nomura Research Institute published an analysis of the potential impacts of this DPP policy on Japan's labor market and broader economy. This story is not just a significant political development but also a major economic one, with potential ripple effects on macroeconomic policies in Japan. The third major news item today relates to the US election, with two stories drawing significant attention. The first is from the Wall Street Journal, which conducted an experiment revealing that X, formerly Twitter, displays political content to users, regardless of their preferences. The article, titled "X Algorithm Feeds Users Political Content, Whether They Want It or Not," found that pro-Trump and pro-Harris posts dominate feeds, even for users interested solely in lifestyle topics like cooking and crafts. This has sparked ongoing debate about X, with both conservative and liberal users expressing dissatisfaction. The journal's experiment showed that even if users indicate disinterest in political content, X still frequently pushes partisan and election-related posts, with pro-Trump content appearing twice as often as pro-Harris material. Although X owner Elon Musk stated in June that the platform maintains neutrality, he also admitted to having his personal viewpoints. He insists that his opinions do not affect the platform's neutrality, though critics remain skeptical. The study noted that X leans towards conservative content, though Harris's campaign has still managed to maintain a strong presence on the platform by leveraging viral marketing to expand its reach. Interestingly, a recent Pew Research Center survey showed that, although Republican users feel more positive about X than before, a majority, 53%, still believe X leans left in favor of the Democratic Party. This is a stark contrast to 2021, when only 17% of conservative users felt that way. This paradox illustrates the platform's complex influence, where both sides of the political spectrum have grievances, yet no alternative platform has emerged to replace X. The second related story concerns the Washington Post and its owner, Jeff Bezos, who recently halted an editorial endorsement that would have publicly backed Kamala Harris's candidacy. According to NBC News, the story, titled "Jeff Bezos Defends Washington Post's Decision to Stop Presidential Endorsements Days Before Election," cites Bezos as saying that endorsements could introduce bias. Critics argue that Bezos's decision is influenced by concerns over potential backlash from Trump supporters, particularly after his space company, Blue Origin, lost a $10 billion government contract under the Trump administration. In a Washington Post op-ed, Bezos explained that he believes such endorsements have little impact on election outcomes. He did, however, acknowledge that the timing of his decision, so close to the election, could amplify the controversy. Bezos admitted that if he had implemented this policy earlier, the decision would have appeared more neutral and less reactive. Bezos's commentary didn't stop there. He also questioned why the public's trust in media has been waning, subtly critiquing those within the media who resist change. However, some reports reveal that Blue Origin has been in talks with Trump's campaign, seeking potential future government contracts, adding another layer to the discussion about whether Bezos's motivations are financially driven rather than purely ideological. Reflecting on these events, it's clear that influential figures and corporations aim to sway the election outcome through their platforms and resources, an inherent part of any election season. Both Musk and Bezos have their personal interests and values, which guide their actions, just as any of us would act in their position. Yet, based on my experience, such efforts rarely impact the deeply rooted motivations of voters. This reminds me of a personal story from the 2012 election. At the time, I supported Mitt Romney's policies over Barack Obama's, particularly Romney's views on national defense. My neighbor, a Taiwanese-American retiree, once asked for my advice on whom to vote for, and I advocated for Romney. Although she agreed with my reasoning, she ultimately chose to support Obama, explaining that his healthcare reforms positively impacted her son's medical practice. This story illustrates that, for many voters, personal interests often outweigh external influence. So while Bezos and Musk may seek to influence the political landscape, the reality is that voters typically prioritize their personal stake over outside opinions, making any real impact challenging to achieve. Finally, we're diving into a significant news story about Germany, where the automotive industry, a cornerstone of the nation's economy, is facing severe challenges. Reuters reports that by 2035, Germany's auto industry could lose as many as 186,000 jobs due to its ongoing shift toward electric vehicles. This figure, representing a substantial portion of the industry's workforce, underscores a major shakeup that could deeply impact Germany's economic landscape. The report points to high energy costs, heavy tax burdens, and cumbersome regulations as factors eroding Germany's competitive edge in manufacturing. Adding to the bleak outlook, another report from DW indicates that Volkswagen, one of Germany's most iconic automakers, is considering drastic cost-cutting measures, including potential closures of 3 plants within Germany. This comes as Volkswagen aims to save approximately €4 billion, with company leadership warning that large-scale layoffs could be on the horizon. Just last month, Volkswagen hinted at closing a single plant in Germany, which alone was a shock to German society. Now, the news of potential closures for 3 factories has sparked even greater public concern, highlighting the scale of the crisis within Germany's automotive sector. Meanwhile, international observers and industry insiders suggest that this situation was foreseeable. Many argue that Germany's reliance on the Chinese market, paired with China's rapidly advancing automotive sector, has left German automakers vulnerable. Some commentators note that while Germany continues to focus on gaining market share in China, it risks losing ground at home. A broader perspective on Germany's current struggles comes from The Economist, which published a scathing critique that examines Germany's predicament under former Chancellor Angela Merkel's policies. The article is titled "Angela Who? Merkel's Legacy Looks Increasingly Terrible," with the subtitle, "16 Years of No Reforms Are Taking a Toll on Germany and Europe." It argues that Merkel's 16-year tenure without substantial reform has left Germany and Europe at a disadvantage. The Economist highlights 3 main areas of concern: Merkel's reliance on the US for defense, dependence on China for economic growth, and dependence on Russian energy. These issues, combined with Merkel's support for Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán, which some believe has hindered democratic progress within the EU, illustrate what The Economist calls Merkel's 3 traps. Her decision to open Germany's borders in 2015 to over 1 million refugees is also cited as a key factor that sparked a rise in populist sentiments, not only in Germany but across Europe. Ultimately, The Economist argues that Merkel's aversion to reform has left Germany's economy in a weakened state, making it increasingly difficult to address current challenges. For Germany, the pressing question now is whether its leaders will learn from the past, or continue down a perilous path.
That's all for today. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more updates. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.